All right, today we have the dreaded story problem. We're going to be dealing with linear models and story problems specifically in slope-intercept forms. You should be able to write an equation if I give you a story problem with a linear example after this lesson. First thing, you have to know what in the world is a linear model. It just means it is a linear equation that represents a real world scenario. So the ones we're working with are going to be based on slope-intercept form. Remember y-intercept and slope? So y-intercept is going to be the value that is independent of x, which means it kind of does its own thing. It's not really affected by anything else. We call that a constant. It stays the same. And the slope is going to be the value that changes. It is the dependent variable. So it does rely on other types of information. We don't know what that's going to be yet, but it depends on something else. So, few things to think about when you approach a story problem. As you read through the text, you should underline, circle, highlight anything that you think is important. So any type of variable or number that's in there, you should probably underline it so that you know, hey, I need to come back to this. If it starts out as saying, Susie and John go to the mall, well, it sort of sets up the story, but that's not super important. We don't care that they're at the mall, what comes after that. So that's kind of what I mean by what's important, what can you ignore for the time being. You're going to want to know what the numbers are and what they mean. Those are pretty important pieces of information. And then what number represents the change and what number represents the constant. So that's going to be really important when we look at linear models. What's changing and what can stay the same. So one's independent and one's dependent. So slope, that's the change. So anything that is going to get affected either positively or negatively is going to be the slope. Remember, in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. The change or the slope is m. It's whatever is attached to x. And the y-intercept is whatever is going to stay the same. What's your constant piece? What is going to be your value when x is 0? Some keywords you're going to want to look for. If you need to pause the video and write these down, do so. So click that pause button, write all of this down, put it in your notes. These are really important words for you to know because they're kind of telling you how to set up the sentence. If you see the word of or the word product, that means you are multiplying. If you see the word is, that's an equals sign. If you see the word less than, that's called flipped subtraction. We're going to talk about that later. That won't be in this video, but it is important, so write it down. Sum is addition, difference is subtraction. If you see the words per or ratio, that's division. Pause the video, write it down. First example that we have here is a machine salesperson earns a base salary of $40,000 plus a commission of $300 for every machine he sells. Pause. Those right there, you have to know what those words even mean. So base salary. If you don't know what that means, you're like, well, I don't know if that's a change or if that's something that stays the same. Base salary, think salary, that's what he's going to get after a year. So when he works a year, he'll have $40,000. We're not including taxes in this example. So at the end of that year, he will make $40,000. And it says he's going to earn an additional amount, a commission. So if someone earns commission, that means typically in sales world that they have to sell something and then they'll get a little extra on top of it. Sometimes it's a percent, sometimes it's an actual dollar amount. So this is saying every single time he sells a machine, he's going to get an extra $300. So if he sells 5 machines, he's going to get an extra $1,500. See how I did that? Pause that and think about, how did I get 1,500? So you need to write an equation that shows this scenario to represent any type of machine amount that he sells, because we don't know. One year he might sell 2 machines, the next year he might sell 10 machines. We want to know how much is he going to make every single time, and the equation should represent that. So write an equation that shows the total amount of income the salesperson earns. It's going to be your Y if he sells X machines in a year. So let's look at this a second. I'm going to kind of do a little highlighting thing here. So we have a base salary of $40,000, and then it says plus a commission of $300. Okay, those are the two numbers that we're going to be working with. One of those is our slope, the other is our y-intercept. Remember, think of that as your starting point and your change. So we need an equation that shows the total amount of income the salesperson earns, and that is y. Let's change the color we're working with here. How about blue? So total amount of income is going to be y, and then let's see, machines is going to be x. We have a few different things here. We need to figure out what is y attached to, what is x attached to. So it says total income is y, machines are x. Well, think about it this way. So if he sells 2 machines, is he going to be earning $80,000 extra, or is he going to earn $600 extra? So which one of these things is going to be multiplied by that 2 machines that he is going to sell? So which one actually makes sense? Does it make sense that he's going to take his salary and double it, or that he's going to take his commission and double it? Well, this here says $300 for every machine. This is why it's important to highlight words. $300 for every machine. Well, notice how I highlighted the two things in green. The 300 fits with machines. So 300 is our slope. So this right here, that's our slope. Oops. Sorry about that error. I had to fix it. So anyway, commission, that $300 is going to represent your slope, which means the $40,000, your base salary, must be your y-intercept. That's your starting amount. Anytime you are given a start, in this case $40,000, so if he sells 0 machines, he will make $40,000. That is going to be your y-intercept. So to avoid that error again that I made over here with slope, just know that this is going to be your y-intercept. Okay? So the equation that we have, let's see if it appears, yep, up top, is going to be this. So anytime that you recognize what the slope is, that's attached to your dependent variable. In this case, it's talking about machines in a year. And then that y-intercept attached on the end, so we're adding the $40,000, that's your y-intercept. So we're saying the money that the salesperson will make is going to be equal to 300 times however many machines he sells, plus his base salary of $40,000. So if he sells 2 machines, put 2 right here, that would be $600 extra plus $40,000, so $40,600 in a year would be his Y. Here is the equation that we just used in the last one. This one says, if the salesman sold 150 machines, how much money did he make? So he sold quite a few machines. Remember earlier how we said X is the number of machines sold? So X number of machines. Well, he just told us there are 150 machines. So plug that in for X. Use substitution. You learned this before. So if we substitute 150 in for X, notice how the X vanishes. It's gone entirely, leaving us with just the 150 here. Then we can multiply these. Remember, put parentheses around whatever you substitute and then multiply. 300 times 150 is 45,000. Add that to his base salary of $40,000 and he will have made $85,000 if he sells 150 machines. All right, in the videos that I'm going to link down below, one of them I'm going to include what will happen if I give you the Y value and not the X value. So if you know the independent variable but not the dependent, how do you solve? I will give another story problem example. It's going to be pretty similar to this. You just got to break it down piece by piece. But otherwise, you really have to know what is your independent and dependent. That is key in figuring this out. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.